I want to take some time today to talk about the housing market. And as we see values continue to go up and up, there's a lot of theories that exist. You'll see the government putting out a lot of theories, and lots of people, industry professionals, realtors, mortgage professionals, and mortgage brokers like me say things, hey, the government's always missed the boat because we have not ever fixed a supply problem, which essentially means that there is not enough houses for how many people are looking at them. And that's further kind of put pressure on things. We look at people that, in this day and age that might buy a house, might buy a second house, and they're using both of them, and they're not renting those out. Now, there's definitely some problems here when people don't have housing to use, when, escalating rent is not an answer. All these things are actually true stories. There's not enough houses for how many people are looking for houses. But here's the problem with the supply and demand issue that I think that people are not paying enough attention to. In particular, let's take an example that I've been thinking about lately. I love Disneyland. Now, many times in busy seasons, you'll find that you could ride rides there, and they're no longer 30-minute waits. They're no longer 45-minute waits. They are 2-hour line waits. And so you'll see that as a result of supply and demand, people wait longer, and they're willing to wait longer for that experience. That's what's happening right now. People are willing to pay more because there is supply and demand. So people are willing to pay more in the housing market. But why doesn't a ride get up to 4 or 5 hours long? Because still at some point, there is a reason why people say, you know what, there is now a point where the risk and reward is not great, and I have to rethink the supply and demand, and I don't think that what I'm looking to buy is worth the cost. Now, I think this is particularly dictating the fact that in order for markets to go up, we have to have one of two things. We have to have people that have significant net worth, so lots of cash, or we have to have people that have significant incomes to afford it. Even if there's a justification on supply and demand for houses, in the Lower Mainland or Vancouver or Toronto to be worth $3-4 million, it doesn't mean that there's enough people that can afford that dollar. And it doesn't mean that, and the answer is not that people will just pay it because they'll, find ways to pay that higher amount. It does mean that with less money and less disposable income, they will be less likely to spend money on other things, which has an impact economically. So why am I telling this? Because a lot of people think the market will keep going up and up and up because there's just not enough houses. Well, I don't think that's the case. I think that we're going to have a slowdown, especially in some of the markets that are more rural. In particular, what's going to happen is that you'll see a point where people go, like that line in Disneyland, they go, you know what, the 3 or 4 hour wait is not worth it for me. So I have to look at a different experience or something different to do. This is no longer worth for me. And so what does that mean in the housing market? It means that people are going to start migrating to other cities, other provinces, and maybe even other countries. This is extra accelerated, I think, at this point in the idea that you do have a lot of remote work options. So why am I telling you all this? Well, first of all, if you're getting frustrated by the housing market on where you are, you feel like you can't afford something, I want to suggest a few strategies. First of all, you could really rent in the place you want to live and buy in a place you want to invest. Maybe you're going to rent in a place like Vancouver because the housing market is out of reach, but maybe you're going to invest in Alberta where you can afford a down payment. That'd be a terrific strategy right now. Secondly, I want you to think about the idea that maybe there's other places that would give you a farther value for your dollar, other cities, other provinces, maybe even other countries where that would allow you to afford a place. And there's other places you could look at. Do not put that out of your mind as being a possibility. Third, I want you to also think that there is a point where wage growth will catch up. And so for the market to keep going, wage growth is going to catch up. And so I don't believe the market's going to crash. I don't believe the market's going to go down in value in a meaningful way, but I do believe you'll have a slowdown where there'll be less pressure. So if you're in a situation where you're feeling like, whoa, I can afford the market, but there's about 500 people offering on houses, I do believe that's going to change and I'll be in a less strenuous market. But those strategies are things that can help, and those are strategies are things that you can look at right now. Now, if you want to build a strategy with us and you'd like to talk things through on a more one-on-one level, we'd be pleased to help you with that. Again, it's one of our YouTube videos. We'd love for you to subscribe, share this with anybody you know, subscribe to the channel. Hopefully it's helpful for you.